Sunday live chat. It's been about 2 weeks since my last one, so I haven't done it in a while, but it's good to be back. It's good to be back here again talking live, talking Beatles and all things solo and everything, maybe even a little sports and whatever. But good to be back, and hopefully our Sunday regular fam joins in. I've already seen 2 people in the comments. James and Heidi, the MVP. Good morning, good morning. Hello, hello. So as you saw in the title description, I've got, it said Andy live with guests. So it could be plural, but we don't know who's going to join later. But to join us for a little bit of this show, going to go on for about an hour, hour and a half, till about 12:45 as usual. I've got somebody special in the background and backstage he was on here a few weeks ago with me. And we have a limited time with him today, but I want to bring him on, and I'm very happy to bring on right now Mr. Ken Michaels. Hello, Ken.
Hi, Andy. What makes you think I'm happy?
Because your favorite album of all time just got re-released.
That's right.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning, Susan and Lynn. Yes, you can never usually make this live. I know that you might hear a little bit of a feedback on this, but it's not going to last too long. Ken, what's cooking, man?
I got the box set on Friday. Basically, I've listened to the alternate takes. I really haven't had a chance to get to the new mixes yet. And looking at the 2 booklets that are in there, it's really wonderfully packaged. I don't know if you want me to show it.
Please. Well, you told me you weren't going to get, last time you said you weren't going to get the box.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't really need vinyl, as even though I love vinyl, I have a turntable in the house. It's very difficult. It's not even worth getting into a conversation about why it's a problem in my house here. But between that, I still don't have Blu-ray audio. I live in a small house, a Cape, where 5.1 doesn't even make a difference here because all the rooms are small. All I really need are the CDs for me. And in the case of the bonus track of Sunshine Life for Me, I need that, and that's the most important thing. But since I've always said this is my favorite album of all time, I'd feel like a phony if I didn't get the, deluxe edition. And the information that's in there about the songs is really worthwhile, because there's 2 different booklets in there. One of them, I'll show you this one. This has recording notes. That's what it's called. And it tells you day by day, in order, which songs George worked on for the album. And the other booklet also tells you who played on each song. Now, unlike All Things Must Pass, where you had so many musicians on there, it's basically a kind of a stripped-down band for the most part on Living in the Material World. If you're like me and you want to know every detail, like, is it Gary Wright or is it Nicky Hopkins on this song, or you need these booklets for that particular reason. What I found interesting was that this album, the songs that made the album, were recorded over 2 weeks, Monday through Friday, 2 weeks in a row. They were all done, the 11 songs on there. And then Miss O'Dell was recorded after that. Then they threw in Sunshine Life for Me as a bonus track. And as far as I know, because the deluxe version here has a vinyl single of Sunshine Life for Me, and on the flip side, there's an instrumental version of it.
Right.
So the only way to get that is in the box set.
But the 2 CD does have the demo, right?
It has the demo of Sunshine Life for Me, and it has Miss O'Dell on there.
Okay. Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because originally I thought Miss O'Dell wasn't included, because whatever I read didn't say Miss O'Dell, but it's on here.
Okay, because originally that wasn't going to be part of it. But I'm surprised. I'm glad to hear that it is. Hello, Beatle Eddie. Lynn, hello. Entertaining show last night. Thank you. Yeah, we just interviewed, we had Mitch Axelrod on for our most recent episode, and we did a look back at Now and Then 1 year on, because we had him on a year ago when it came out. So
Can't believe it's a year.
Yeah. So you've dived into the box, but only the outtakes.
Well, anytime any of these archival box sets come out, that's my first thing.
Gotta go right to it, man.
To me than the remix.
Agreed.
Not everybody feels that way, but that's how I am.
I'm on the same page with you, brother.
Yeah.
What are the early highlights of the outtakes to your ears?
Just learning that a couple of songs, like the title track to Living in the Material World and The Lord Loves the One, was rehearsed at a much faster pace. The outtake of That Is All, which is probably my favorite ballad from him, at this stage, he didn't have all the lyrics finished. In fact, the bridge of the song of That Is All, where he sings silence often says much more than trying to say what's been said before, there's nothing there. So the lyrics aren't there in the song for that part of the song. So, what you discover in these outtakes is that the arrangements are fairly close to what these outtakes were. It might be interesting if you heard take one of everything, so you'd know how every song started out. But the versions that they give here are fairly close to what they turned out to be. But I think what will please a lot of people is when it's stripped down even more, because there are outtakes here where a lot is offered except George's slide guitar part. Like Give Me Love, which was the first thing that was released, didn't have the slide on there. It's a different take altogether. These are all alternate takes, and as far as I know, I think Kid O'Toole was questioning this, but Sunshine Light for me sounds like a completely different take. It's not the same backing tracks with George's vocal.
It's not. It's different. It does sound very similar to Ringo's, but it's a little different.
Yeah. However, Try Some Buy Some is the same backing tracks.
Yeah.
And there's slide guitar parts that George added here on this version that he didn't put into the release version. And you don't hear the strings, the orchestration on Try Some Buy Some. So again, it's a little bit removed from other instrumentation.
Right.
So it makes it interesting. Just the performances are so wonderful of certain songs. I was all choked up listening to The Light That Has Lighted the World. There's something about George's voice, the way he sings it. It's very emotional to me. And I think one thing that a lot of people will like about listening to the outtakes is that George's vocals are up front. And the fact that a lot of this is with less instrumentation, it brings out the voice even more. And for people who think that George may not have had a great voice, his voice is in fine shape in all these outtakes. They're all really good.
Yeah, but it makes you wonder what happened a year later with Dark Horse.
Well, I got to wonder. It's kind of fascinating when you look at the booklets and you see that Who Can See It was like over 90 takes of the song, but that can't be all complete takes.
No, you got our friend here, Kyle Hand. He loves the outtake of Who Can See It.
Yeah,
so far the best.
It's great. There's no orchestration on that. Again, his vocals are up front. And if maybe, I love the original mix of this album just as it is, but if you want George's vocal more up front there, if you really love George's voice, you're really going to like the outtakes. But like I said, I can't comment on the new mix yet. We're doing a show on Talk More Talk tomorrow night. And by then, I'll have listened to the new mix.
Right, so consider this a little bit of a trailer teaser for the Talk More Talk show tomorrow night, because this is what they're going to be talking about.
And have a question the next things we said today will probably be on this album too, in the box set.
And we're going to get to that most recent episode in a minute too. I want to catch up on some comments. There was a question here about the box set from Matt. Does the Super Deluxe come with a poster? I believe it does, right?
I didn't see one.
Should be one in there. And yes, people, I know there's an echo. It's on Ken's end. It's not on mine.
Well,
there's the poster.
Wait a second.
Right?
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. The album has the exact same pictures on the label. You wanted to see
the front and back sides, yeah. Yep.
Same. And the outtakes come on the Apple label with the green apple on one side.
Yeah, the classic acetate look.
Yeah. It's really good.
Mitch says the two inner sleeves. Thanks for tuning in here, Mitch. And that's Mitch Axelrod from Fab 4 Free For All, who we just did the show with.
Hi, Mitch. Yeah, we go back to the Fab Forum days. Let me see.
Do you go back to the AOL chat room days?
Yeah. This is the 45 for Sunshine Life for Me right here.
Yeah.
It's got the lineup of musicians listed on the back.
The band plus David Bromberg.
David Bromberg, yep.
Right.
And Klaus Voormann.
And by the way, there was a great presentation of on Sirius on the Beatles channel with David Frick and Klaus and a whole host of people that were involved. Well, I think, and also Paul Hicks was on there too. I don't know if anybody heard that yet, but it was really good.
Okay. Well, I'd love to hear from Paul Hicks because his name is on everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Mike Campbell, that's who else was on there, and Klaus, and of course Jim Keltner was on there too. It was a really good interview.
Uh-huh. Well, unless I'm missing it, I didn't see the poster.
Okay, so that's a mystery. So we're not sure about the poster. If anybody in the comments can confirm, I'm pretty sure that unless you got gypped on one.
I don't think I have a poster in here.
Let me while you're looking, let me catch back up with the people who've joined us. Some friends of ours, our usual Sunday fam, James Boyce, James Liverani. Thank God that was not a Rolling Stones record on your record player. I was gonna have to call you out if that was. I looked like Sticky Fingers, and it was really just the cover of the David Gilmour album. Thank God. Susan says, I'm waiting for my box from Amazon. They say Tuesday, but they haven't shipped it. Really annoying. So whether it was from Harrison or Amazon, most people don't have it yet.
I just went to my local record store where I get all my Beatles stuff. They always say have a copy for me of everything. So...
As they should. There should just be like, if it comes in and it's Beatles related, we're going to keep one for Ken Michaels, put it to the side, don't even sell it. Just don't even put it out. Just hold it for you.
Okay. Then I'll put a plug in there for Exile on Main Street. Sorry. Should be a Beatle title. That's the name of the record store. It's in Branford, Connecticut.
Well, we're going to give them a pass because you're a customer. But other than that, that's about it. Thank you, Susan. That was anytime we have Mitch on, it's a great conversation because we just get down to business and we think it's going to be about one topic, and we ended up talking about a lot in that hour and 45 minutes. So it was good fun doing that.
Something I'd like to bring up here, there's a couple of tracks on the outtakes that are strictly just George on acoustic guitar. And Don't Let Me Wait Too Long is on there. Actually, I hear a little bit of piano on it. But it's really, scaled down. Mm-hmm. And same thing with The Day the World Gets Round, which actually goes on for about 5 minutes. It's just the same verses repeated. And George sounds fantastic vocally, and his guitar playing is wonderful. But it's just so nice. If before all this stuff with the stripped down George, we had heard Early Takes Volume 1, and we also heard like Beware of Abco, the bootleg of that, and you grew to love hearing just George and an acoustic guitar. Well, when you listen to something like this, it kind of reminds you a little bit of, like an Early Takes. This could have been Early Takes Volume 2.
There you go. Everybody that's wanted Volume 2, there you go. It could be.
Yeah, Living in the Material World, the title track, it starts off with George telling the band, he kicks it off by saying, 1, 2, buckle my shoe. And it's got like the band on there, but with none of the flutes.
Right.
That Tom Scott, I think, played. Lord Loves the One. It's also kind of interesting when you listen to the Beatles archival box sets and they present it in such a way that it's all in chronological order. So, the first song the Beatles worked on an album to the end. It's the same thing here in the booklet. And The Lord Loves the One was the first song that they worked on the album. So it's just, I love to learn all that stuff. Be Here Now, I told you, I think, were we talking about it 2 weeks ago? Was it already out by then? It's just exquisite, just George and an acoustic guitar and organ, I think, is on there. Oh, it's when you have these songs paled down to just a voice and a guitar and very little else, it makes you realize how strong these songs are just by themselves without having a band arrangement to them. So, that's part of what I love about this album. Yeah. Oh, also one of the things that you learned in the notes, and Tom Brennan, who's our expert Badfinger fan.
That's him.
Don't Let Me Wait Too Long on the Finnish version has Pete Ham and Joey Mollen and Tom Evans playing acoustic guitar on it. And I think the book only says Pete and Joey. But Tom can confirm that Tom Evans is on there too. And it also says here in the notes that Pete Ham played acoustic guitar on Try Some Buy Some. And it says Pete and Joey play on The Day the World Gets Round on the Finnish versions.
Did you see that the first Badfinger album is going to get reissued? Tom Brennan posted about that. Did you see that?
You mean the Ivy's demos?
I think that's what he posted about. Or something about yeah.
That's right around now. There's going to be a CD and vinyl for that.
Right.
Yeah, and then also Head First, which was an album that I think was only put out in limited quantity, maybe, but it's coming out again now. That's been remixed, and that's coming out. Head First.
Okay.
Also, this is just for someone like me who wants to know what songs did Ringo play on. Because Jim Keltner plays on every song on the album, with the exception of Be Here Now, which has no drums.
Right.
But Ringo and Jim both play on Don't Let Me Wait Too Long, the title track, and The Day the World Gets Round. Elsewise, it's all Jim Keltner. So you learn these things. I prefer, like, it was very frustrating with All Things Must Pass. There was no breakdown of each song.
No.
But we have all that information now on the Ken Womack, Jason Krupa book, All Things Must Pass Away,
right,
on the revised edition of that. Day by day, it takes you. Just like it does here in the booklet, in the recording sessions booklet. Yeah. So that's about it. October 2nd through October 13th, the album was recorded. 5 days each week.
In 72. And, wow.
Yeah.
And a couple of months to mix it and get it ready, and came out in April '73, right? May.
Yeah. The end of May. Who Can See It had a running title of My Life Belongs to Me. Some people find that interesting, But it just goes to show you that while they were working on it, maybe George didn't even have the title yet. So it's on the tape boxes that way. So. But still, 2 weeks is fairly quick.
Very quick.
To record all these songs, but these are all musicians that he was comfortable with. Pretty tight band right there.
Yeah. And it's nice to see these details all fully fleshed out now and on record and documented, and gives us plenty of reason to dive back and learn more about music that we've loved for decades, but now we can actually get a little more detail and learn more about it.
Yeah.
We have an answer to the poster from Mitch. Local record stores have a 12 by 12 double-sided poster you can buy when you get any version. So if you go to a local store, you do get a bigger poster, so it seems.
So that's kept separate? They just give it to you, or it's packaged in the box set?
I think it's kept separate. In the local store, they'll just give it to you.
Aha. I will have a word with the owner of that.
That's what they're named after a Rolling Stones album, so what do you expect?
What do you want? Yeah, I know.
Second rate. Mitch says they give it to you. Okay. So, plenty to dive in. While we have a view for another 10 minutes or so, Ken's actually going to see David Spinoza today. And,
he's doing a show in New York City at the Cutting Room. It's at 4 o'clock. And we all know Dave for being one of the leading session guitarists in rock. And David played on, among many things, he played on the Ram album, but he also played on the Mind Games album, as did Kenny Asher, who played keyboards. Kenny Asher is in the band that's playing. This is actually a 17-piece big band orchestra, which David is conducting. And this is the first time they're doing this, and it's all Beatles big band arrangements. So that's at the Cutting Room at 4 o'clock, and I'm going to be there and hopefully see some of you watching this.
Yeah, that's should be a very good gig. Very, the cutting room's a great venue, so you got to get there and get a good spot.
And Kenny Asher also played on Walls of Bridges and Rock and Roll.
He certainly did. And your most recent episode of Things We Said Today was an in-depth interview with Mr. Elliot Mintz, who just published his book, We All Shine On, which I read in about 2 days, 3 days. It was a very, very quick read.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, you had Elliot on before in 2018, but tell us about this recent one.
I think we interviewed Elliot twice on the show, because there was one show where it was Steve Marinucci and me, and then I think the other one was with Steve, Al Sussman, Alan Kozin, and me. And I also interviewed him on my own. He's always been a delight to talk to. Basically, the book covers the time with John and Yoko. It doesn't really go past too much after John's death, which in a way is kind of a disappointing thing, because I would have loved to have him go into the Lost Lennon tapes and talk about that. And also all that Yoko has done to carry on with John's legacy and to keep his name out there. And how she's had to deal with his passing all these years. But no, he was great, because from the very beginning, when you read the book, how it all started with him choosing to interview Yoko on his radio show at KLOS in Los Angeles for her album Fly. From that moment, Yoko and John were constantly in touch with him on the phone, at least in the beginning, every single day, treating him like he had no other life other than he was their friend. And they called him at all hours of the day and just expected him to take his time to talk to them. I mean, most of us would do that anyway. But he had a life, he had a career, he was on the radio every day. He had his own talk show. He loved doing interviews. And every time that they talked to him, it was like carrying on a conversation from the last conversation. It was funny because the way that Elliot describes it, when they called him, they wouldn't even say, "Hi, Elliot." It was like jump right into whatever they were talking about last. And sometimes they would call him in the middle of the night. He had a girlfriend there one night. and he had some kind of a red phone installed to know that it's John or Yoko.
With the light.
Yes. And, but he was extremely close all those years. He got to know them very well. He knew how to be very diplomatic with them because they could be very demanding at times. I did ask him this one question about, did you ever have an argument about anything? And
saw that.
Yeah, that was interesting because Elliot talked about the song God, and he thought that John was a little bit too rough on his audience by saying, "I don't believe in Buddha. I don't believe in Kennedy. I don't believe in..." You should change it and make it say, like, "We don't believe," or something like that. Make it less harsh.
Right. I love his answer to your question, though. He says there's not enough bandwidth to describe the rage in which John responded to me, to my criticism over that song. That was a great answer.
And he said that was the last time he ever was critical of any of his music. I do like hearing about this one moment, probably the toughest moment he ever had to deal with John, which was during the Lost Weekend. Yeah. Did you get to that part?
Oh, yeah. He
called it the rock bottom.
Yeah, well, it's in the book, so yeah.
Yeah, I know. But basically, John had gotten drunk, and he was at Lou Adler's house, and he destroyed all the gold records in the house, and he had to be roped to a chair, and he was just shouting out whatever he felt like being drunk, and he hurled some epithet to Elliot, which really hurt his feelings. And then the next day, John called him up and apologized. And Elliot reminded me what he had said. He said, "Well, let's put it to you this way. If that's the worst thing I ever said to you, I can't be all that bad." Mm. And that was not really a good apology in his eyes.
No.
And Elliot actually hung up the phone on him.
Yeah.
Which it was interesting to hang up the phone on John Lennon.
Yeah, he of all people, it was his turn to do that. Interesting that all their phone conversations, nobody ever said goodbye. They just finished the sentence and hung up.
Yep. Well, He also said he probably felt closer to Yoko, that she was a warmer person than John. He was there during the Phil Spector sessions with rock and roll, and most of the stuff that we've heard already about Phil's erratic behavior. So I don't know. Is there anything in the interview that you heard that you want to bring up?
No, I have not done with your. I'm halfway through it.
Yeah.
You know, the episode, your review of it, but I just wanted to touch upon it because it was current and it was a good interview for what I've seen so far, and a good synopsis of the book because, as you know, Elliot Mintz is a very slow speaking, carefully, his answers are very calculated. It's not rapid fire.
I wouldn't say calculated, but he's very pensive.
Yes.
He puts a lot of thought behind what he says.
He does.
He doesn't want to rush to judgment about saying anything. He's careful. I wouldn't say necessarily calculated.
I mean, to balance a relationship between John and Yoko and not betray confidences was not, easily done.
Yeah. I also like to bring up the relationship with the other Beatles, and Elliot said that John, his feelings about Paul could change, to the minute.
Yeah.
He could love him one second and hate him the next, and he was jealous of Paul's success in the 70s.
No doubt. There were some really nice segments in the book about Paul and Linda's trips to the Dakota. I think they came there on Christmas Day one year. I mean, that and Elliot's retelling of that visit was pretty special. And sad in a way.
Did you know about that Christmas lunch?
I knew about it, but I never really read anything concrete about it.
Okay.
I've read that, they showed up on Christmas one day, but I didn't know if it was 75 or 76 or 77. I didn't know.
So I would guess that must have been the last time they saw each other physically, because I know Paul called John.
Yeah. It was sad, though, because he just saw the two of them standing there. They didn't really have a lot to talk about, which was sad, according to Elliot's recounting of it.
Well, he remembered the two of them by the window at the
Yes.
Dakota. It almost makes me think of the movie Two of Us.
It does.
In a way. And Paul said to John, "Are you writing any songs lately?" Or, and he said, "No, I'm just basically taking care of Sean, and everything. That's my life now." And John says, "How about you?" And Paul says, "Oh, I'm always writing."
And recording. I'm always recording. I have to.
So they were on different paths at that time, but then John changed and went back to recording music again in the studio.
He did.
He was always writing anyway.
Yeah.
By evidence of what was on the Lost Lennon tapes and the songs that were done between 76 and 80.
There's all that Between the Lines and all that bootleg series that's out there. There's a ton of material. He was always doing stuff. Got a great comment here by Joe Wisby of Books Beatles podcast. He also had Elliot Mintz on his show, and he said he had to do lots of editing to cover the silences.
That's true. Yeah, it's a good thing that I don't have to edit the interviews for radio. Elliot's a wonderful guest. I'd have him on whenever he wants to be on
Sure.
the show. He's a welcome guest. But if I ever had to edit the interview for radio, it's a lot of editing. But it's just dead silence you have to edit. And that's easy.
Very easy. I know you've got to run in a minute, but I just want to I've got a question here from our friend Kyle.
Hey, Kyle.
Before you go, Ken, what are your thoughts on the early cuts of Press to Play on Pizza and Fairy Tales? I'm Obsessed, which is one of the best Paul McCartney bootlegs ever.
Well, there's where you're going to have a lot of division among McCartney fans, because for the people that don't like the Hugh Padgham production and the heavy 80s sound, they probably like the earlier versions of Press to Play. I'm so used to the album version that came out, and I love it the way that it is. I do like hearing the earlier versions too, especially Good Times Come and Feel the Sun, because it goes on much longer. There's some extra, parts of the song that wasn't in the version that came out. But, I like it. Sometimes there isn't that big a difference to me between the two.
I don't hear a ton of difference. Some, but not a lot.
I think it's worthy of putting out if there's ever going to be a Press to Play box set. But, I like listening to it, but it's not that fascinating to me to hear, because I don't hear a tremendous difference.
You don't.
Between the two. There's just not as heavy, the heavy drums and everything that you would have on, like, Talk More Talk and Pretty Little Head.
Mm.
You know, those songs. But I sure hope there's a box set. And when there is a box set, that's when you put in the Pizza and Fairy Tale stuff.
Yes. Lindiana, Yvonne, all those tracks.
Well, some of those songs did come out like on bonus tracks, like through Flaming Pie and all.
Yes, but not Yvonne. We're still waiting for that one.
I don't understand why he didn't release Yvonne. That's ridiculous.
So there, Kyle wanted to get your take on it. It is a fascinating bootleg. I got it at a fest decades ago, and it's really one of the best bootlegs out there by Paul. I don't know if you've heard it or seen it, Ken, but...
What, Pizza and Fairy Tales?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've said I think Return to Pepperland is the greatest unreleased song that Paul has recorded.
Which is basically the second disc of Pizza and Fairy Tales.
Yeah.
You know, you've got The Longer Beautiful Night, Loveliest Thing, Squid, you know, all those tracks that eventually, some of them did come out on the Flaming Pie singles, but that second disc, man, there's that lost album that could come out one day.
Yeah, I would love to find out if anyone would ever ask Paul, why didn't you ever release Return to Pepperland? I mean, the theory is, I mean, he's never answered this question. He's never been asked this question as far as I know.
Because the interviewers don't know it.
Well, also George Harrison put out When We Was Fab that very year. So for a nostalgic look at that time, 1967, George already covered it.
Mm.
So I don't know. That should have always come out. It's so catchy, that damn song.
It is, even though the lyrics are nonsense, but the song is catchy.
Fine, I don't care.
No, I know they are. I mean, Nelson Mandela and all that stuff. It's just a little bit wonky, but it sounds great. It's a wonderful. You know, you can hear it. The melody is infectious. I do like it. It's one of his strongest songs he's ever released, but the lyrics are a little.
Yeah, I mean. I wish there'd come a day when somebody who really knows his catalog will ask him these questions. And why didn't you?
I'll ask him right here.
Well, behind me, after I ask him the question. One of us. But, you know, Yvonne should have been released. There's no question about that.
Got a question from Mitch. Are you looking forward to Beatles 64? And have you seen a screener of it?
I haven't seen a screener of it. It'll be interesting to see how much, if anything, was taken from what's already been out from the Maysles brothers. Yeah, and I right now, my big problem is because it's so difficult for me to get to a turntable. If I do get the box set of the mono albums, you know, how am I going to get to listen to it? That's my major worry right now, because we're probably going to do a show on that on Things We Said Today. And, you know, I'd like to be able to hear it. It's easier for me to listen to everything on the computer as MP3s.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to make the effort to do it.
I guess so.
By hell or high water, you're gonna. Well, you didn't order them, or you did? The vinyl.
I did what?
The mono albums.
Well, I'm hoping to get a complimentary copy, which will help a lot because it's pretty expensive, this box set.
Well, $120 for a box in the Beatles story, that's out. That's a waste of money, in my opinion.
Right. But to get the whole box itself is how much?
$300 and whatever it is, $29. But that's crazy. But if you buy the 6 albums, it's $30.
Maybe I should do that then.
I did that. Beatley Tone did that. Not sure if Mitch did that, but I just felt an extra $120 for a box and the Beatles story was a waste of money.
Well, that's how I felt about living in the material world.
Which, I'm glad you came to your senses and got the super deluxe, because I know you don't like vinyl, you don't need it vinyl, but you love that album, so you needed to get it.
Well, I got it mainly for the booklets.
In the info.
Yeah, that's it. And for Sunshine Life for me. And
got an invite there from Kyle. Yeah.
What's the difference between a 2 CD version of Living in the Material World and this box set, which was $170 for me?
Because you bought it from a mom and pop store.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a little cheaper online, but you went and got it from a local store. I get that.
Not only that, because I do podcast shows, I want to be able to do a show on it as soon as it's out. I don't want to wait till I get something in the mail, and then it could be 2 weeks later or whatever. So
yeah. You got an invite from Kyle that says, Ken, come to Brooklyn and we'll have a listening party.
Okay, you got a deal, Kyle. I got to get Kyle on my show because I have a feature on there that I haven't done for a long time called Youngblood, where I interview 3 guests and they all have to be younger Beatle fans, like 40 and under. To me, that's younger. And get their perspective on certain things on the Beatles. And I definitely want Kyle's opinion.
Cool. All right, Ken. Well, thanks for popping on. I appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure. Got to have you back. By the way, thank you. 1,000 views when you were on my show last. So
for the Deeper You Go series. Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah, got a lot of great responses to that.
Let's do it again.
Got to get your partner on the channel now to do that.
Yeah, he'll do it. He'll do it. But I'll come on anytime. Honored.
Okay. All
Ken,
right.
Enjoy the concert, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks to all of you for watching.
Talk to you soon, Ken. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye-bye.
And there he is. The legendary Ken Michaels. DJ, podcaster. He's been the gold standard, and he's interviewed so many people over the years. So it's been nice to be on his show. It's nice that he's been on live here a couple of Sundays, and very thankful that he gave me a couple of minutes of his time today before he heads out to see David Spinoza at the Cutting Room, which will be a great gig. 17-piece band. I've been to the Cutting Room. That's a tiny venue. You can put 17 guys on that stage. That's going to be a tight stage. It's a very small venue. But I do want to catch up with some comments and our Sunday family that popped in here. I want to just say hello to everybody because while Ken was on, we were reviewing his take on the box set. I want to just say hello to everybody as my mom and dad. I think so. Hello. Let's see. John popped in. Nick, Russ. Of course, we said Joe Wisby was here. Tony, Nick. But I think everybody else is still here. Bill Leary popped in here too. Hello. He says he's getting his copy on Wednesday. Yeah, the shipping, man, is driving me crazy. I ordered this thing from GeorgeHarrison.com months ago. Why can't this thing come on my doorstep on release day? Now, Ken, as you just saw, he didn't want to wait for it, so he went out and bought it, but he paid more money for it, which is crazy. And I have my own battles with Beatles. I ordered 2 Beatles shirts from the Beatles store 2.5 weeks ago, and I've been playing email tag with these customer service clowns about the shirt. Oh, it's not in stock. Oh, it is in stock. Oh, it's not in stock. Well, what is it? One or the other. Frustrating times for shipping to be a fan, man. I got to tell you. That has gotten worse and worse as time has gone on. It's really, really aggravating. So I think my Material World box, as of right now, it's in Texas still. So who the hell knows when it's going to get here? But it is streaming, and that's why I say I like the streaming because at least I can hear it. But you want the physical product. You do. So I really love the comments, and everybody who who watched last night's episode with Mitch Axelrod. See, the echo is gone, you see. I knew it wasn't on my end. Ha, ha, ha. Thank you for all the feedback. Wonderful comments so far. And we're closing in, I think, on like almost 500 views on that episode that we did last night with Mitch Axelrod, 1 year on from Now and Then, which was really one of the more, we enjoy every show we do, but that one with Mitch ran the gamut, and we thought maybe it'd be an hour, and then an hour and 15, then an hour and a half, then it ended up being an hour and 45. So it was really enjoyable, and we, as I say, we covered the range of everything in that episode, from the Beatles stuff, the solo stuff. It was really enjoyable, and we still talked about Now and Then a lot. Yeah, because we're New Yorkers at heart, Mitch. So we get each other, and we're no BS. Let's just get to the bottom line, and that's always evident when Mitch and I we've done shows with Mitch. It comes across. I just hope to see you at a fest soon, one day, Mitch, in person. Maybe we'll do something together. James Boyce has the high-res version of Living Material, so don't have to worry about late deliveries. Dealing with parcels is a pain at times. Certainly is. Lindiana, I don't think would have been a hit single, Tony. I like Lindiana, but I don't think it bears similarities to Coming Up. I don't hear that at all in that song. Kyle Hand, I'd love to get his take on that. I don't see it. yeah, let's do it. Let's talk in March and try to work on something. But yeah, Return to Pepperland, the Vigitone bootleg label. Again, not endorsing bootlegs. You know, you acquire them how you acquire them. But Kyle Hand messaged me this morning because he's a good friend, and he's down a rabbit hole with it right now. And it's always been like one of the gold standard of McCartney bootlegs, especially that label. I mean, look at it. This is a bootleg. Look, it looks like it's a real thing. I mean, done very, very well. James said Andrew on his Parlogram channel had a corner ding in his box set. And yeah, you pay good money for these things. And when they come dented, you're like, what the hell is this? So you can understand, you know, I understand why Ken Michaels or somebody else wants to go and support their local store and go pick it up. Because, yeah, it's going to cost you another $15 or $20, but chances are it's not going to have a ding in it. You know, these things cost so much anyway. Although I, as we said last night on the show, I do think this is the way forward now. I don't think Mitch said it, I don't think we're going to see these super, super crazy crates and gnomes and cubes. And I think like now, $150, let's just call it $150 on the average price for a box set is that's fair. That's a fair price. Hello there, Ed Crawford. Mitch says, Return to Pepperland song is great, but I never saw that much appeal to it. When We Was Fab was much better. Agreed. And maybe that's why Paul never issued it. You know, I think that was another case of Paul being a little bit jealous of George with that, with kind of, you know, beating him to the punch on all that stuff. Especially when George spent a lot of the 70s really poo-pooing the Beatles stuff, and Paul, who always championed the Beatles legacy, never really poo-pooed it. So to see George now doing a Beatles pastiche in the 80s, I think probably stung Paul a little bit with that. Susan says, a year on, I still love Now and Then. It's one of the Beatles songs for which I stop doing what I'm doing and just listen. Absolutely. Absolutely. Matt says, here's the latest from the George Harrison official site on his Super Deluxe pre-order. Pre-shipment, ship, and label created. Yep, that sucker is sitting in Texas. So, James Martinez, if you're still here, I know you're in Texas, find my box, will you, and get it shipped to Jersey, please? I'll have you on the show. Go to that thing and go get it, because I know he's in Texas. Please. Frustrating. I mean, it really is. I mean, Tom, my partner, he hasn't gotten either, but he actually ran out to the store yesterday, and he just bought the 2 CD version just to have it, and then he said he was going to give it to his uncle, which I think is nice, a nice gesture too, just to have it. I'm not that crazy for it, where I have to go out and get it just to have it in my hands on release day. Now, if it was a Paul product, different story. But a George album, I can wait. I can live with streaming and YouTube until then. I do like the version of Sail Away Raymond. I like it. I did sound, like Kid O'Toole did say, it did sound like it could be the exact same backing track, but it's not. It's not. Jeff, my non-purchase of Living in the Material World on Right. And that's fantastic, too. I dusted that thing off the shelf a few weeks ago. That's still a nice set. 2 CD and a DVD with some live content from Japan in 91. That's a fantastic box. I love that reissue. It hasn't been reissued as much as I think I read the other day that All Things Must Pass has been reissued 5 times, which is crazy when you think about it. Somebody might know the exact. I mean, obviously there was the 2001 reissue with George, and then I know it got reissued on vinyl in 2017, and then of course it got the 2021 Uber crate version. So I mean, I must have 2 or 3 copies on CD as well. No, Ken does have a turntable. It's just it's not in the same room as his other stuff, so it's a little complicated for him. There was some comments on here about Mitch's choices of his, because if you did watch the show, we snuck in Mitch's top 10 songs that he couldn't stand by Paul, and some people disagreed. I got to go find back those comments here, read them. It was funny. Somebody agreed. I think Susan agreed with him on Sea Moon. Yeah, I've got to agree with Mitch about Sea Moon. If I never heard it again, that would be too soon. L7, as Mitch said. Yeah, loser. No, I'm kidding. We're just tired of the song. James says Mitch was wrong about Morse and Waterfalls. I agreed with that. Mitch couldn't stand Waterfalls, and I told him, Mitch, there's a 3-minute edit of it. You don't have to hear the whole song, and he says it still sucks. And he loved London Town, but he thinks Morse Moose was just a really bad ending. And Mitch, for many, many years, I was with you. You know, you drop a song like Water Spout. You don't include that on London Town, but you would put a song like Morse Moose on there. For many, many years, I agreed with you, like ending that album with that song. But I've come to really like that song. It's long. It's very different from the rest of the album. You got this crazy song and Morse code and all this other stuff on there, but it kind of just it works because it's nonsense. Susan, to hear Susan say that she doesn't like something, I don't know. That's if she doesn't like it, then it must be okay. There's some tread on those tires. And Sea Moon, that one can be just recycled. Done. Ed just finally got it. Hello, Debbie. I got to find some more comments about Mitch's. See, Mitch generated some good talking points with his top 10. Ooh. I like this one from Matt. What happens if we drop the SASE to the Jim Keltner fan club address? Tony objects to Mitch's worst song list, but we can still be friends. Well, listen. What you hate, I like, and vice versa, and that's what makes the world go round. It is, and I know Mitch's feelings on the album are different than Ken's, and I think that's great. Ken obviously loves Material World, so that's why when he wasn't going to get the Super Deluxe, when I had him on 2 weeks ago, I said, whoa, I've been listening to you for years. You're not all in for this thing? Sure enough, he went and got it, and I understood. I understood why. Ollie liked the Don't Let Me Wait Too Long outtake. Tony says it took him a long time to accept George's singing about spirituality. Well, again, that's just one side of George. James said he had to listen to everything yesterday 3 times. Solid album, but it's not one I go back to often for my sins. Okay. Yes, the usual Sunday fam is showing up here, MVP. Thank you for supporting, as always. Please do. Imagine in the future we get George's demo. Well, yeah, that would be cool. I think Mitch answered this. He has Beatle tunes. I really enjoyed it. Any chance of an ebook version in color? The original Fab Forum, right? Not the one on Sirius. You guys go way back. But that was a really good interview. That was conducted by David Frick, and it dropped on Friday because that was the release of the album. I think it was about 90 minutes. It was Paul Hicks, Mike Campbell from the Heartbreakers, Klaus Warman, obviously, and Jim Keltner, and then somebody from My Chemical Romance, or I don't know the guy because I don't listen to that music, but he was on there too. I'm happy to be here, Tony. I had to take a couple weeks off. Life got in the way a little bit, but Mitch says, I just wish Don't Let Me Wait Too Long was in straight 4/4 time. Yeah. It's the only kind of, other than Give Me Love, it's the only really straightforward poppy song on that album. I would think so. See, yeah, and I say I added that in my list. How could you forget that song? That's Tom Hunyadi's, what's one of his favorite songs? I didn't forget that. That had to be in my top 10. Oh, awful. Matt thinks Morse Moose is effing fun. It rocked my 13-year-old world upon release. Mitch prefer. No, he does not. Oof, not at all. Jeff, who question? Did you get the 14-disc Pete Townsend concert box? I have not yet. That's one I have not dived in with yet. And I love Pete's solo work. I really do. Empty Glass and All the Best Cowboys Have Chinese Eyes. Yes, that title is a mouthful, I know. Are basically the only 2 solo Pete albums I really listen to in any rotation. And I love both those records, but I don't know if I'm that big enough of a solo Pete fan to jump on that 14 discs. I might stream it, but that one I wouldn't get. If it was a Who box set, I would get it in a heartbeat. But 14 discs of just Pete solo, I would maybe get a sampler if there was a sampler, but I don't know if I would get all that. I mean, and I love the Who, and I love Pete, and I like his big pop albums, mainly Empty Glass, and again Chinese Eyes. But that's it. I love the Cowboys tanking. I just wish that the other team in the NFC East, would tank along with it, but they seem to have found their stride again with the Philadelphia Eagles. To them. Matt says it was Jim James. Okay, My Morning Jacket. But yeah, My Chemical Romance, I don't know. But he was on there too, and I was not familiar with him. I'm not. But he put out a great George Harrison tribute 10 years ago. Okay, I'll check it out. Don't forget the blue vinyl So, all right, so I have that coming as well, which I ordered from Target.com, which I ordered. I don't know if anybody else went through this. I ordered that from Target, and then like a month later, it said, "Oh, we can't fulfill your order." So then I had to reorder it for some whatever reason. Again, online shipping and ordering, not a good track record these days. But they said, "Oh, your order's been canceled." Like a month ago, I got that email from Target after I already ordered it and paid. Okay, fine. I'm going to reorder it. And I just reordered it. And so far, it's still scheduled to be delivered. Maybe in 2028, but it'll be here. So that also drops on the 22nd. So yeah, big month. A big month. And again, we're mainly a Paul Solo show. But of course, we're going to dabble into the Beatles, which is what we did with Mitch last night. I mean, we're not going to do a show on Material World. If you want that, you can check out other shows that do that stuff. But, we're going to talk. I'm going to talk about it. I'm just not going to do it. Lynn says, I think I've only listened to Morse Moose once. Listen to it again, Lynn. Listen to it again with fresh ears. Put cans on, too, when you listen to it. Kyle says, his cover of Long, Long, Long made me really take a second look at that song, meaning that you didn't really like it that much before that? Long, 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 for me, has always been a home run of a White Album track. Oh, you ain't kidding, buddy. You ain't kidding. Oh, yes and yes. Yes or yes, as that great podcaster Tim Dillon always says. Love listening to him. Yes or yes. Susan ordered the Target Blue, but didn't get a cancellation email. Okay, I guess I just live in a crappy part of the country, I guess. Mitch says there's a way to get free shipping. Just order 2 pencils for $25 each. Bring the total over $35 and you get free shipping. There you go. Thank you, Mitch. Always finding those corners to cut. And I did like, and I wasn't aware of this when he talked about it on our show, the site Merch Bar, which I've never ordered from, but he gave a kind of a great PSA on our show. Be wary of that. Beware of darkness. No, beware of Merch Bar. Because, just because it's cheaper, you may not get it right away. And that happened, or you might get it. So it's like buyer beware with some of those sites, so I just miss the days of like Amazon Prime. Like you bought it and 2 days later, guaranteed it was going to be on your doorstep. Now, flip a coin. You never know. Brad says he was 12 and a half when Morse Moose came out. But I don't think I heard it until I bought the LP years later. With a Little Luck was the only song I remember hearing on the. Well, yeah, that was the smash hit. That was the smash. Brad, is it me or does Long, Long, Long sound quieter? Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's definitely quieter, but the 2018 remix, it's a little bit louder. Excuse me while I grab a cough drop. I'm battling I'm a little under the weather here today, so bear with me. But I am feeling much better. That's why I wasn't live. Do I think George's demo? I have to listen to this more. Right now, I'll say it's probably better. What does everybody think of the animated video that they dropped for Sail Away Raymond on George Harrison's YouTube channel? I watched it last night. Cute. Animated. A nice little cool thing that was done. Bill Leary thinks that Morse Moose was an early sign of the McCartney 2 album. Yeah, a little bit. Little kitchen sink action thrown in there. Please, I know. I'm worried. I am. Please, that's like less than a month from today, I'll be in England. Actually, a month from today, I'll be home. That's scary. I will. Yes. Yep. Less than a month. Less than a month to the 2 shows in Manchester. I've had enough. Nick says it's one of his faves. Great song. Bad video. Bad video with the split screen. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great song though. And the only song from London Town ever performed live on the 79 tour. Oof. Nope. I'm with Mitch on those 2 songs. Out. Gone. The video for Sail Away Raymond, this is Mitch talking about it, is strange. I thought the man in the beginning was Ringo, which would have been cool. Yeah, I did too for a hot minute. It did look like him. It did. It's what they do now with these videos, right? They just, they make animated ones. The Beatles did a couple of them, over the last couple of years. They're nice to watch. But we'll see, Beatles 64. Now that I know what I know about it, it'll be a one-time watch. It'll be nice to watch Thanksgiving weekend, and that'll be it. But if you're expecting Get Back like a Get Back like documentary again, with that in-depthness, that's not going to be what this is, from what I know. Yeah, I'm Only Sleeping one. Yeah, that they won, and they won a Grammy for that too, I think, for best video or best something that they did, I think. Oh, you're still here. Yeah, it's going around, man. Rough Ride, Motor of Lover, average. Yep. Average. Not an average person, though. However absurd. Let me go back here. Morse Moose would have been a great 80s to an 80s Wings concert. So, well, yeah. That would have been tough to reproduce on stage, though, given the technology of the time. Brad says, some of these AI videos they're making for Pink Floyd songs are blowing my mind. Yeah. And we talked about that too with Mitch. Hearing a Beatle Paul McCartney voice from like 1964 sing "I Don't Know." Crazy what's going on with that stuff. Even like with the video for "Find My Way." With that was weird. It was just weird looking. Some of it's a little too much. And we talked about that. When we talked about that with Mitch, we're not going to use that to create new stuff. You want to use the technology to improve what's out there already? Fine. But it's getting a little too weird for this stuff to happen. And, as time marches on, are people going to say, well, that's really Paul McCartney? Well, actually, no, it's not. It's AI. Or are people going to even care? Probably somewhere in the middle. What, a 20-year younger version of you? It should have been. Well, the Freeze a Bird video won, and I still think I like the Freeze a Bird video more than the Now and Then video. I like Now and Then better overall out of the three songs, but that Freeze a Bird video, to me, nearly 30 years later, is still the best out of what they've done with the reunion stuff. Real Love was just a mashup of stuff, and that was still well done too by Kevin Godley. And I enjoy that video very, very much, especially the reunion footage that you see, which is where they pulled from Now and Then. But I do think the Freeze a Bird video still is the best one. Yeah. Yes, he was. That's who it was. Yes, we got to that. No AI. Susan says, no AI, please. Yeah, exactly. Bill says, Freeze a Bird video is the best of the videos, but I love Real Love as a song the best. Yes, but as we talked about with Mitch, they've got to get the chipmunk effect out of it because it was sped up for Paul to harmonize with it. It's too fast. And I know that if you go to the Beatles YouTube channel now and listen to that video, it's not the same one as you hear on Anthology 2. It's a little different. It is a little different. And I like the video. I like the song, but Freeze a Bird video. I mean, has anybody ever counted all the Beatle references in that video? It's crazy. I did it one time. I wrote it all down, and this was long before the internet. Sing in unison in a higher register. Okay, and that's why they sped it up. It's too fast. I thought of that right away even when I watched that video in 1995. I'm like, okay, I know this song because it's a John Lennon song and it was in Imagine. But it sounds like they sped the record up. Felt that way when I watched it live. Still do. We'll see. I think that would be a little retweaking of all those songs with Now and Then or in an expanded anthology. I think that would be very, very cool to look at. Freeze a Bird and Real Love are on YouTube are the 2015 remixes, right? And I like the remix that was done. That was for OnePlus. The OG video is now only on the Anthology bonus DVD, the special features. Jeff didn't like Freeze a Bird. You like that kind of mashup of Christmas Time Is Here Again, with John reading the little the poem at the end of which they threw on from an earlier Christmas recording. I think that was closing the 1966 Christmas recording, and they just tacked that onto the end of Christmas Time Is Here Again for the B-side. It's dirgy, I get it. And again, in 1995, the technology, that's what it was. Totally. That's what should be coming out on Black Friday. That that would have been awesome. But we know we're getting one. We know we're getting. I think I Want to Hold Your Hand coming out, as Mitch told us. James is not like James, and I saw your email too. I'm going to write you back. I did not forget about it. I saw it. I'm not a big fan of the Now and Then video, especially the middle part. So he doesn't like the comedy routine. But you got to remember, James, that's what the Beatles were. They didn't take themselves seriously. You know, that's what it was. That's who the Beatles were. They were silly, they were goofy, and I think Peter Jackson wove those scenes in from Magical Mystery Tour and the Hello Goodbye stuff the best way he could to showcase that. And we talked about that with Mitch yesterday. You see it, like modern Paul playing with old Paul, young Paul moving the drums, older Paul singing, and the two Ringos playing together. And then the John stuff, you know, doing this and Paul sitting next to him. That's who the Beatles were. And I get it. It might look cheesy and some people hate it, but I think it's part of who they were. Peter Jackson knew this, and that's why he included it in the video. That's why. And it's just, it may not be everybody's cup of tea, I get it, but that's who they were. And if you're going to represent the Beatles, it's not going to just be a serious thing. There's going to be moments of levity and goofiness, and that's what that is. I was thinking about this morning, Nick, because Ringo, I was just playing Bob Dylan's Christmas in the Heart record, which is above my shoulder there, because I am in Christmas music mode, people. It's here. Ringo's got a Christmas album. Paul's got to do a Christmas album. Now, he's done a couple songs here and there, but a dedicated Christmas album is something that's missing from the McCartney canon. I think most of us would welcome that. Redo Wonderful Christmas Time. Even redo reggae and throw another 10 standards in there and put it out. David, the new story from the Beatle guys was Now and Then was the third worked on song, but it was really the second song after Freeze the Bird before moving on to Real Love, although Now and Then was revisited in April of 96. It is. I don't think it has any flaws. Susan's no surprise, no George Zoetrope LPs are coming out on Black Friday. I like the first two. Yeah. Yeah, not a big fan of the record store day list this year. I will not be getting up the day after Thanksgiving and queuing up in a line at 4 o'clock in the morning, damn it. I'm not doing it. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing that. If I want it that bad, as I've learned, I'll pay another $20 and get it on eBay a day later, which I learned the hard way with Mind Games, the EP, this past April. For the first time in years, I got up, I went to my local record store. I got up at like 5 a.m., thinking that was a decent time to get there. By the time I got there, the line was 100 deep, and they only had 5 copies of the EP, and it was gone. Pissed is an understatement. Went home, saw it on eBay. It was extra. I think it was $20 extra, and I got it. I didn't care. Sleep is more valuable than getting up and waiting and queuing online. I know my partner in crime there, Tom, loves it. He'll always do it. I'm not doing that anymore. Nope. The Mind Games Zoetrope LP was the best animation, but only in the cube. We need a separate release. Well, you had to get the cube, Mitch. Mitch, that cube was calling your name. Look at it. Look, over my shoulder. He wants you to get it. Get it. No, I'm not. I want Paul singing that song originally from 79, or I'll watch him live, anytime singing it, which I'll be seeing. Hopefully he's including Wonderful Christmas Time and Mull of Kintyre for that. Oh, Mitch, you cracked me up. But as he said, and I wholeheartedly agree with him, if you watched our show, give us the option, right? As long as product is coming out, we can make the choice as consumers to get it or not get it. Like, I'm not into Zoetrope pressings, mainly. I wasn't going to spend $40 on George Zoetrope pressings. I'm not into that. If it was included in Mind Games, I'll take it. But at least the option is there. See? You got to take Bill's advice. Bill says food's overrated. Mitch, I did think you were going to get it. So when you told me that you weren't, I was like, whoa. But I get it. At least you have the option to say yay or nay. And product is still coming out. I remember this. He got burned with with Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane on Record Store Day in 2017 and missed it. Never again. Thank you. Sleep on eBay. Exactly. Exactly. It's another reissue I want to hold. Yes. Should have done the Can't Buy Me Love record sleeve. And yeah, keeping the SIG in. Yes, you got to keep the SIG in the hand. Cut back on shopping the month. Yes. Well, yeah, they've got to. Or you buy it and you pay it off in installments. I don't know why people keep going about alternate energy source. I'm perfectly happy with food. They did release Can't Buy Me Love sleeve in 2011 at Target with the t-shirt. They did. But that's how you probably can't get that anymore. Or it costs a lot of money. If Paul were to adapt his songs for a Christmas album, he had better not include a version of Sea Moon, Retired Sea Star. I don't throw it out there, Susan. You never know. It is puzzling that we never got a Christmas album, though. I mean, he redid a couple of them, because when Kisses on the Bottom came out, he redid the Christmas song and I think a couple of other songs standalone. Should have been. I agree. The contents of the cube are for life. I can do without food. All right, Breesh. I'm happy. I'm happy we got it. But I do think we're not going to get another one, though. I think Paul did Paul's done a couple now. You had the suitcase. You had the Wings Big Barn box, which was limited, which was $400 something, and then George, and then John, and then the singles box. I think we might be done with the extravagant boxes. I think so. Right. Red and green Christmas on Christmas Kisses, right. Which we got included, yeah. So I think we're done. I can't see any camp going over the top for Walls and Bridges, or Extra Texture or any of these albums now. All Things Must Pass, I get it. Mind Games is something different. I'm glad that of all the albums to get that treatment, Mind Games was the one they chose, because you could have done it for Imagine, you could have done it for Plastic Ono Band, but they chose Mind Games, which I like because it was an overlooked album, and now it's gotten the attention that it should have always gotten. Again, middle of the road, whatever, but there are some really good songs on that album, and it got the attention. Yeah, I couldn't imagine Walls and Bridges. No way. No way. The size of Wall, no way. I think we're at least a few years away from that. The Lennon Camp does not issue these things every year. So if we get that, it'll be in 2027, I'm thinking. Susan likes her cube, but it's not exactly 39.5 pounds, as Mitch told me yesterday. Yes, she did. She did do a nice cover of Real Love. Speaking of Spectre, I know it's a different Spectre, but I did see her in the trailer. Ronnie Spector is featured in the trailer for Beatles 64. I don't know if you saw that. A Dark Horse Cube. Yeah. Again, we talked about this. Dark Horse, Extra Texture, Material World. You could pull the best bits out of it and make a really, really solid album. Out of those three albums, Material World is the best. Sorry, Owen Ling, but you can't put a dress on a pig on everything. And I re-listened to Extra Texture. I liked songs that I forgot about or never even heard before. I did listen to it again, but it's just not anything near what 33 1/3 or Self-Titled is. It's not. No. The day after Thanksgiving, you got a better chance of me running the New York Marathon. Absolutely not. This Get Back was something different. That was a 3-part series, which was going to be like radically different for a run-of-the-mill, pun intended, documentary that's likely made for the masses. I'm not waking up at 5 a.m. after Thanksgiving to go live about it. I'm not going to. Not going to do that. Between the lyrics and many years from now, that's as close as you're going to get That's as close as you're going to get to an autobiography. I think it's a miracle that we got the lyrics, and we can thank Paul Muldoon for that. And I guess Paul, because he wanted to do it. But I think the lyrics book is more of an autobiography than many years from now. Yep. You got to remember, these things are made for the masses. Get Back was different because it was comprehensive and it was 8 hours. Okay, and that was the exception to the rule. From what we heard, there was a longer cut of this, and it was scaled back. Of course, it would be nice if we had director's cuts and things like that, but we're not going to get that. So he really was. In fact, I couldn't even listen to all of them because the voice was rough. And how many of those stories did we already know from reading everything? The only episodes I listened to are songs where he talked about his solo work. Any of those podcast episodes that dropped that were about Beatles songs, honestly, I skipped because we know the story. We know what he's going to say. We know what prompted him to write all these songs. Eleanor Rigby, whatever. But songs that were about solo songs, I listened to. But none of those podcasts about the Beatles songs I'd listened to. You're right, though. Well, we talked about that. Mitch doesn't think it's going to be up for the record of the year, but maybe the rock song of the year. Rock, it probably will. Who knows? But maybe the video. Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like, Susan. Just based on the cover they could make it look like an egg crate. Good point there, Brad. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, very, I'm glad we have it, but we have the book. I have 2 copies. I have the British, actually I have 3 copies of the lyrics. The American, the UK, and the Italian transcription from, thankfully, Luca Perazzi graciously gave me a copy of that. Can't read it, but it's in Italian, but I have an Italian copy as well. Hopefully if Sigourney Weaver's in 64, the alien chases her off the screen. Oh, God. There's going to be talking heads in this. But if the talking heads, and from what the trailer looks like, if it's musicians, I can accept that. Celebrities who went gaga, no. I don't need, my mom sat us down and we watched it. If you have a musician on there and we're hearing their take on it, I can live with that. Yeah. I could, but yeah. Well. Oh, God. So we'll see. I think Mitch, how long was the movie overall? 90 minutes? What are we looking at? A classic hour and a half documentary? 2 hours? Because Mitch saw it, so. The Grammys are all about American music, even in the 60s. Yes, they did. Yes, they are. Very, 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 very pro-American. So is American Bandstand and Dick Clark. And don't even get me started on that. Dick Clark did not like the Beatles. I think he had to cringe whenever he had to talk about them. Yeah. Good comparison there, David. All right, so not quite 2 hours. So, we shall see. Big week. So, yeah. Oh, okay. He didn't see it. Right. Okay. Forgot about that. Mono albums. Target one this week. Who knows? We are going to have we're going to do a live episode this week on Two Legs, I think on Thursday. Luca Perazzi's got Music is Ideas, Volume 2, which is hitting Amazon, I believe, on Tuesday or Wednesday. We're going to do a live launch with Luca of that book on Thursday. Yeah, but I know he wasn't a fan. I know I've read that. Dick Clark was not a fan of them. We're going to do it on Thursday. That's going to be a live episode of 266. We're going to do the same thing with Alan Cozen and Adrian Sinclair in December for the McCartney Legacy Volume 2. We're going to have both those guys on to do a live launch of the book because they aren't launching the book in person this year, but they will be at the fest. So that will be on in December as well. So we're going to have two live launches of two McCartney books Luca's coming out this in a couple of days, and McCartney Legacy coming out next month as well. Mitch, I'm glad you agree. I'm glad you agree. So those, and then we're going to have Ken Womack on before the end of the month / end of the year. Yeah, no in-person one. That's where I met Kyle, I think, for the second time, because we had met at the 2022 Fest, and then I met him again in November in Newark. So there is no live in-person launch, so those two guys graciously accepted our invitation to do it on two legs. So we're going to do that in December, probably before I go to England, before the Paul concerts. So that might be like a during the week thing. It might not be on a Saturday or a Friday, but it might be in the middle of the week. Probably look for it to be earlier in the day because of the time difference with Adrian in England. So lots of good content coming down the two legs pike over the next month. And then I'll probably go live if I can from England and kind of do an on-field report from the shows in Manchester. So a lot to be thankful for and a lot to look forward to here in Beatles World. So I'm going to wrap it up. It's been an hour and 15 minutes, and it was great to be back here on Sunday morning. And I'll be back again next Sunday morning to do it again. And by which time, hopefully, I've got Material World and I've got the U.S. albums to dive into and other good stuff to show off. And I hope you all get your packages and what you've ordered, and looking forward to it all. So it did fly by. Kyle, we'll talk, and at some point we'll do that again too. We'll have you on. Have a great week, Bill. Everybody that popped in here, thanks so much for being on here. Enjoy the day. Enjoy football if you watch it. Enjoy your Sunday. That's it. Detroit, baby. Here you go. 9-1. Mitch Axelrod, thanks for being here today. And check out episode 265 on Two Legs if you didn't see it yet. And I will see you all next week. But look for us on Thursday for a live show with Luca Perazzi to launch Music is Ideas Volume 2. So, everybody that was here today, you know who you are. Thanks for being here. It was great talking and conversing with my Sunday family again. And I'll see you all next time. Have a great day. Peace out. Bye.